So I wrote a letter to the President of the United States of America, handwritten on construction paper because it's what I had. If I had had like blank white paper, I would have written it on that, but I'm kind of glad that I decided to write it on construction paper instead. And I sent a painting of a turtle because, again, the USA used to be called Turtle Island for Indigenous Americans, Native Americans, um, and so I wanted to honor my ancestry and also the indigenous peoples of my country, the United States of America. When I wrote this letter, and I wanted to make sure that I sent that as a way to honor them. But I am going to read this letter via my photographs that I took of it because I think it's valid for everyone in the world. And I'm actually going to post it to my YouTube. So how exciting, because I have a YouTube channel. We are one, so let's act like it. For our future, if you see Earth as one nation, maybe the life in the universe will allow us to be part of their existence because we remembered. Goals for the future, universal passports. Nobody walking the earth should be denied citizenship. We are Earth's children. Universal money. What better time to reform our systems than right now? More trees, regeneration of the ocean, clearing and cleaning natural waterways. Education reforms. What are we teaching? Societal standards. What are we doing? Medical reforms. How can we heal? Hard truths so that we may build trust, and one day may Earth's people will know peace. It may sound utopian, but all it takes is people individually making better decisions. Also, it's important, this is not in the note, but throughout this time period, I was trying to think of different ways that would help. So regenerating the ocean, I thought if we could compost the ocean, that would be beneficial. But I don't know, I was thinking like per boat, they could bring out a certain amount, so it wasn't going to just be like dumped on sea life. But it's something that other people would have to integrate. And this is my turtle painting that I sent with the letter February 27th. It's the only time I've ever written to the president like that of my country, or any country. I've sent a lot of email things and different things like that when you sign petitions that come automatically. All right, so let's see. Dear Mr. President, my name is Catherine Lily Mae Harris. I'm a United States citizen born in Rockport, Maine. I am 37 years old. I was almost 37 when I wrote it, but I always make myself, like right now I'm 38, even though technically I'm not yet. I am 37 years old at the end of March. I was born to Vicki and Joe Harris, my mother born in Union, Maine, and my father in Texas. Most of my life, my dad milked cows on my grandparents, while my grandmother and her husband, who was my step-grandfather's 100-acre farm. I'm sure it's no surprise to you that much of our farmland that was privately established, like my grandparents, are split up, sold, and divided because of taxes increased. My farm youth status changed when that occurred. I did my best to navigate a world certainly not on the side of the poor or the small town folk. I left my home young, have held a job my whole life, and had to drop out of high school because I had no driver's license to get there. I dropped out November of 2003, my senior year. I went back and received my GED at 19 years old in May of 2005. During this time, I was wrongfully targeted by Rockland Police in Maine. One of the officer's daughters, his daughter was my roommate, and she had lots of parties and was involved with some kids from another school with good old boy connections. If you know what I mean, I wrote that too. Eventually, the police arrested her when her dad wasn't around, so she went to jail for the weekend. We stopped being roommates, and a year later, I went to see a recruiter to join the Navy. I was homeless, lived out of my car, and leaving home young, autism, I tried to join the Navy, but had a warrant out for my arrest. Her father, previously of the Rockland Police Department, blamed this party on me, even though I worked that night at Denny's restaurant in Rockport, Maine. This was 2003. Long story short, it went to the DA and she and I had a meeting. I had my manager from the restaurant sign something saying that I was at work and printing out tickets to prove so. My landlord also stated that she was the one having the party, not to mention I wasn't on the lease because I was a minor, so I was only 17 as well. I was able to prove that it wasn't me, and they ended up eventually throwing out the case. All of this led to me ending up going to jail after multiple operating after suspension, meaning driving without a license, without a valid driver's license. To get to school or work generally, it's a rural area, or it used to be back then. I went to jail for 30 days, but was able to receive 7 days good time and get out after 23 days. But I wrote a different number because I clearly was distracted and did not look over that again, so sorry for that. I was 24. I went to jail a day before Thanksgiving. I lost my jobs waitressing and bartending. My cat died the morning I got out of jail, and it was terrible. I believe part of the reason I went to jail that long is that I was also targeted by a DEA agent that I had gone on one date with, and I shared with people that he wasn't for me. He was known to abuse his governance here, and another officer that was involved with giving me a marijuana possession ticket when I was a young person. I had this much marijuana on me, not joking. And this is when I smoked recreationally young. And I also stated that that officer, if he was targeting me for any reason, was just misled by other officers, because I know that he's actually a genuinely good officer. Like, he's sort of like a super cop, which means he actually does things with integrity of his job. So if he's ever targeted me at any point, I fully believe that it's only because he was misled by other police and not for any other reason. So I wrote that in there as well. I said he generally has good officer intentions, just not always empathy for the individual, which is true. I'm telling you all of this because I believe it greatly contributed to my ex-abuser getting away with crippling me. My story over the past 2 years and 9 months is a troublesome one, but one I wish to share, and lots of wrongful targeting, injustice, medical cover-up, Islamophobia, and causing me to in turn be medically tortured. I have gone into autonomic dysreflexia 7 times in that time. It is a life-threatening condition that caused me to lose consciousness 7 times. My ex-abuser, I name him, and I say where he's from. He hit me in the spine with a chair during lockdown, May 10th, 2020. It knocked me unconscious. I met God and I was given a sacred job. Perhaps that is for a different letter. I'm here to remind you all of humanity that you are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Words I grew up believing when I said the Pledge of Allegiance daily from kindergarten to senior year, when I was forced by so many broken systems to drop out. I was told the waters of the world needed healing and that I was to sing and dance sacred sites awake, connecting us once again to the above world, a universe teeming with life and light. When I came back to life, it was a horrific summer. ER, hospital, doctors, physical therapists, ER again. After he hit me in the spine, I tried to make it work with him per his request. He knew how to play on my empathy. And after he hit me, he began Googling spinal cord doctors because he knew how hard he hit me. I was determined to heal, but he hurt me badly. I was in the ER at Walden County Hospital, Belfast, 7 days after he hit me. Right side body numbness and spine pain. I was terrified I wouldn't heal. All of my joy comes through movement. A dancer my whole life, singer, painter, yoga, waitress, bartender, mountain hiker, fast walker, high heel wearing, stairs 2 at a time taking, don't sit down until sleep and the work is done kind of woman. This has drastically changed since that day. I should mention that my doctor at the time, and then I list my doctor's name, was a client of my ex-abuser. He saw my ex-abuser every 3 weeks for haircuts. In fact, most of this town did, and many hospital staff included. My doctor didn't take this seriously right away because my ex-abuser, he threatened me and he convinced me to say a chair fell on me while I was looking for a book. He promised to tell my doctor the truth to his face during one of many haircuts. He never told him the truth. My ex-abuser said he would go to a Batterers of Women's program, to which he called and left a message for a woman, but he never went to, and she ended up dead. My ex was terrifying. He held me hostage by threatening. I was diagnosed in the ER at Waldo County General Hospital in Belfast, Maine, with radiculopathy of the thoracolumbar region on a late evening of August 17th, 2020. He also did extensive blood work and recommended me to see a neurologist. I had a nuclear digestion test because I had neurogenic bowels and was beginning to have autonomic dysreflexia. My ex-abuser hit me in my right side, T7 to 8 spine region hard, a deep red marble-sized mark. The point is, all of my medical records and the fact that this has gone on so long, that he got away with it, is so unjust. Again, I'm used to it. I have never minded being poor. I found great joy in waitressing mostly and loved to hike my small mountains with my dog daily. I liked the familiar faces. I learned how to live below my means and budget. I wanted a self-sustainable healing center in Earthship-style home on as much land as I could afford. A mountain, a stream, a garden, lots of woods, a dream for an able-bodied woman, but off-grid so I could help anyone no matter their circumstances. Anyway, all of this will not be. I did save and travel to Thailand and India in 2014 and 15. I studied 400 hours of yoga and Ayurveda, 180 hours of Ashtanga Ayurveda. I studied Odissi dance at Nrityagram the summer of 2015. They just performed here in the United States again. I had all the certifications: dance, yoga, herbal medicine, Reiki, healing, natural medicine. Just needed my body not to be injured by a man. So many of us in this world taken out of society and made invisible by men, by everyone. We become crippled, and if we can't fit in or keep up to where we fit in, then we get shoved up, we get pushed aside and canceled from our society. As you know, our disability program needs desperate attention. 40% of our homeless population is disabled. That's alarming. I managed to get away from my abuser September 23rd, 2020 by locking him out and finally being brave enough to involve the police. I had wasted away to 101 pounds at that point from about 115 pounds. I am 5'3", a 28-inch rib cage, 34-inch hips, and a size 6.5 shoe, hands the size of a child. I'm a petite woman. I struggled to keep going literally and in every other manner. I kept moving. Cannabis, the only medicine I used, and I was a spinal cord injured walker, or a miracle walking. I had no clue how strong I was. I didn't give up, and I wouldn't let him ruin all of my dreams. I tried to go to work at a daycare. I'm great with kids. They knew that I used cannabis as medicine and could not lift much weight. They knew I was hit in the spine with a chair and knew my ex-abuser. They paid me minimum wage. The daycare is closed now. I worked there from October 26, 2020 until July 13th, 2021 when I quit. I was dying from autonomic dysreflexia. So scary. I kept going though. Tenacious is an understatement. During this time, I felt a previous love around me as if he was keeping me safe from above. I reached out to him via email and we wrote back and forth, not saying much. Finally, January 3rd, 2021, at around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we spoke on the phone via Google. He is from Saudi Arabia, a Muslim brother and friend. We had fallen in love in India in 2015, and I was happy to speak with him. He told me while I was in India with him that he could never come to this country, the USA, because his tribal last name is Al-Ghamdi, and that he would be targeted just for that, and I believed him. We are all aware of the unjust treatment of our Muslim brothers and sisters. We spoke for a few hours, 4 to be exact. I remember because my food for the work week, I left sitting out the whole conversation. I obviously kept the food and ate it all week anyway. After this conversation, I started having lots of helicopters around me, directly flying overhead my apartment, a plane always overhead, And if I tried to get my dog outside, I would ambulate around until I fell down. It was not always good. I struggled a lot and needed medical help. No one seemed to take my medical seriously. They all just believed what my ex-abuser told them. It seems after the conversation with Majdi Al-Ghamdi that all of a sudden I was targeted by more than just the local cops taunting me. Now I had helicopters too. Who is in charge of checking the defense fund? I know it doesn't have to be made public, but really, how much was spent during that time, wrongfully targeting me and wasting so much money that could be feeding the poor or building self-sustainable homes for all, for reestablishing schools, for planting trees, and for helping our ecosystem. Instead, helicopters followed me, a 36-year-old crippled woman suffering from a life-changing, life-threatening injury. Wow, maybe someone should look into that, all because I spoke on the phone to him. I am glad he didn't come here. He was clearly right. We talked once and look what happened. I am concerned for the safety of my Muslim brothers and sisters. If our ancestors were able to be here, which may I remind you, most of us here are mixed race, and this is supposed to be the land of the free, home of the brave. May all people doing good be protected and respected, and all people doing bad forget. Let it be kun fai kun ashe. Delegated to all gods, goddesses, and the Great Spirit. May I remind you that most of us here are mixed race. This is supposed to be the land of the free, home of the brave, and all people in all faiths welcome. These helicopters were dangerous at times as well. The day I quit the daycare, one followed me alarmingly close down a small street here. The last of these helicopter flyovers, 3 directly overhead, was on or around November 19th, 2022. I was making a video, so it's filmed, which is why they tried to delete my videos and pictures too. Not only am I concerned at the why for these helicopters, the wrongful targeting of me, the complete violation of my human rights, I am deeply disturbed at this level of Muslim hate in the country in the year 2023. Maybe we will build a religious site over 9/11 of all churches and people of faiths to try and heal our country's heart and perception towards Muslims and Islam. It is a beautiful faith filled with love, beauty, and connection. We must work harder to reveal hard truths now so that we may heal and build foundations of trust on which one day in the future, a future maybe you nor I will ever see, but maybe we can take necessary steps for a future world where we know peace on earth. My life expectancy is lessened now. I don't feel happy in this crippled body. For me, my soul needed to be free. This body traps it. We may not see this peace, but we can take real steps to start healing. Honoring peoples, owning mistakes, and telling hard truths is very much a part of being a leader. It is a great responsibility that says even when ego wishes to lead, your wisdom sees. We must be honest with the American public about the affairs that took place in the Middle East. We must bridge the gap. The time of the Rainbow Warriors, the Middle East and Islamic peoples, and the indigenous tribes are meant to connect. A great healing is meant to take place now. It sounds to so many stuck in bureaucracy and war like a dream, but we have a real chance here to create a better world and bridge the gap to do right. Regenerate our planet, eco-friendly houses, earthships, gardens, teaching growing food, the indigenous ways, earth and sky, past and future, the elder teachings, and the young inheriting the earth, reestablishing broken systems by using and remembering our humanity first. One nation, no one hungry, no one hungry, no one homeless, no one without water, basic human existence. Look around us. If we cannot learn to come together on this planet, are we ever going to be ready for more? Do not fear, most wish for peace. We here as humans have created a fear-based and untrustful world. It is terrifying. At almost 37, now I'm almost 38, because this was in February of 2023, I have seen enough. How could we allow the earth to be led this far astray? I have so much I wish to say, and so many contributing factors to this time. So many changes for good that could be made. Come together, world leaders. You can do it, and I believe in you. I actually wrote that. I really do. I have been meditating with a Sufi group since April of 2021. I find it to be a path of beauty and peace and find comfort in Islamic principles. This time period was meant to bridge the gap there as well. Being able to connect with my ancestors hidden seemingly among time, all running and seeking refuge in America's shores. The comforting embrace of possibility and freedom, equality for all. What happened to America? Can she remember Turtle Island, the ways of one nation? And can she remember we are all born free, one world, one nation? Please take great care in your leadership. This is a time of great change. May we make the right decision, not the easy ones. We can always find the compromising and peaceful path between the chaos. It's important to also note that it may not have only been my government, and it may have been other governments contributing as well. So it's completely unclear. I can only speculate on who was in the helicopters. I do know that after I made the post about the DEA agent and my friend's cop father previously targeting me, that they flew overhead 3 in a row. So to me, it was kind of confirmation. But it's also unclear exactly who was flying these helicopters overhead and exactly what their motives were, other than to harass me in ways that were a huge breach of my human rights and were very unsafe more than once. I also wanted to discuss cannabis as medicine and it being used as a weapon against women in court. I wouldn't need cannabis as medicine if the man I was in a relationship with wasn't abusive. It should be illegal to exploit women for using cannabis, especially when it comes to the domestic abusers. He crippled me and I was treated like the criminal. The prosecutor wanted to know if I was doing a pagan marijuana ritual. Evidently, that was something my ex's lawyer was going to use against me to get his client out of crippling me. I tried to go back to work. I'm a non-performing athlete, a medicine woman, a goal-oriented woman, independent, and wanted the simplest things in life: my land, and a family if I was lucky enough. I was willing to work for what I wanted. He crippled me, and I refused to give up on my dreams of belly dancing all over the world, having my healing center, traveling, working. I wanted to heal, but I haven't and I couldn't. And when I realized I needed help, not sooner, as soon as I knew I needed help, I applied for my paid in for my taxes disability September of 2021. They just denied me the 3rd time, putting me in a worse situation. It is very unjust what has occurred to me. I couldn't move any longer. I tried to save as much as possible so I could rest and heal, but I didn't heal. I realized how badly crippled I was. I realized without cannabis, all I could do was lay in bed on my stomach. I used a cane even in my apartment. Where I'm from, it has 4 seasons. So with the weather warmer, it's actually a little bit easier on my body, but I'm still not the way that I was before, or even in a place where I can hold a job without dying from what's called autonomic dysreflexia. Because it's important also to note that my MRI was covered up from March 5th of 2021 via coding at Belfast Waldo County General Hospital in Maine, USA, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it caused there to be a broken spine, and my bone fragment that has healed mostly now catches on my iliopsoas and my psoas, putting them out of place, further complicating my issue and forcing my diaphragm to collapse sometimes again, but mostly popping that makes it hard to breathe. It collapsed my diaphragm and abdomen. I posted pictures about it as well. I used a cane even in my apartment, and everything destabilized. Evidently, with a spinal cord injury, you have to use the muscles or you lose them. My muscles are still nothing like they were. They're so different. It's like having a different body, because you do. I saved enough and I applied for disability. I have paid in only around $15,000, and my employers have matched that amount. So on my behalf, $30,000 has been paid in. I obviously would like to keep that money to go towards my retirement. Most of my life, I made $13,000 to $28,000 a year. Finally waitressing at one of the busiest and best restaurants in town. I felt like I made so much money and I felt rich. I saved money easily and I'm great with budgeting off of $28,000. Anyways, if I had been approved when I asked, I could have kept a therapy pool gym membership, gotten my car fixed to stay on the road, purchased a mobility scooter, and tried to figure out how I was supposed to survive like this now. I tried to go to school, but the Maine state funding program changed its associate's program for free, Pine Tree Fund, a scholarship for Maine residents who are poor. I'm that, my whole life here, poor. Oh well, no school now. I had certifications. It's too bad this country didn't honor other countries' certifications. 580 hours of yoga and Ayurveda. 580 hours. I wasn't approved the first or second time I applied, or now the third, with a lawyer helping me. A doctor deleted records. My ex got away with everything. I would be homeless without assistance, and I had to hire a lawyer. And if we prove I can't work or make money how you think I should, I'm really angry about this. Even though you don't know me, you don't know how resilient I am, you don't know I would rather have my body than anything, rather work and run mountains, dance and be free. You don't know how prideful I am. I do not want to need help. I had a system, knew what I needed to save, budget, and prioritize. I had my beautiful outdoors here to keep me happy with my able body. I would not be asking for help if I didn't need it. What am I supposed to do now? And this goes double, because this is a year ago, and they just disapproved me for the third time, even though I had a lawyer. Would that woman be able to sustain a T7 spinal cord injury and stay what she's doing right now? Do these people have any idea what they do? I have known women who lied about having PTSD that have received disability by making up that they were afraid of their ex-husband when they never were. I actually was psychologically tortured, raped, and abused. My medical records were covered up. I was tormented, psychologically tortured by other people, and I was just denied for the third time. What am I supposed to do now? Pay this lawyer man for finally convincing you what I've said all along? That's what I'm asking for. Why else would I allow such humiliation and degrading systems to be a part of my life? Please reevaluate how America, the United States, does medical systems, insurance, disability, plant medicines, cannabis included. Big Pharma should not rule America or any part of the world. I say it louder for some of the associates of Big Pharma around me. I share my story on social media and Facebook. I don't expect you to follow me, but if you want to hear more, feel free. I'm transparent about it because I hope in doing so it brings change. This is the only draft I'm doing. I want you to see an authentic human being writing to you. Hopefully you can read cursive still. Most of these issues I've seen and had ideas about since I was 11 in 1997. Now I'm just finally putting them to paper, construction paper, because it's what I have and it's beautiful. Who doesn't love color? Also, my email is, and then I fill that in. I know you probably won't read this, let alone respond, but just in case. I do not keep up with politics, but thank you for the good that you do. Please help others do good and give women a voice continuously. Please make as much change as possible for our future generations. Please take more seriously violence towards women and peoples and violence against women. Please look at all the ways this cycle continues. Woman life freedom worldwide. I have seen horrible things and I've experienced them. I am tired of being resilient. I am crippled now because of my ex-fiance. How many more women and women's bodies need to be found before this is taken seriously? Doctors need to do better. Judicial systems need to do better. This country needs to do better, and the world. Our country acts like we as women are safe here, and we are not safe here. Myself and many women have had enough experience and stories. If you need to hear some, go for a walk through your area and ask each woman you see to please answer you honestly. Ask them if they have ever been abused, raped, or assaulted. Ask by whom, where, and how, if they feel like talking about it. No more can we keep silencing women. This was a new age witch hunt after a man crippled me. On the stand, testifying as a victim, it was insinuated I was just confused about him crippling me because I was using marijuana as medicine. I was asked if I was doing a pagan marijuana ritual by the prosecutor in 2022. I only began needing cannabis as medicine because of this man's abuse. It's why on the stand, so why on the stand can they use it as a weapon? Why was I villainized for plant medicines when he crippled me for my life? Woman life freedom worldwide. Disability, Social Security, etc. In a bad way, 40% of the American homeless population are disabled. Why, as soon as someone cannot fit into a societal bracket, are they canceled? Does not our humanity count for something? I was hit in the spine with a chair which crippled me and drastically altered the course of my life. Not only did I meet God, given a God job, but I came back into this body now crippled. All my dreams gone, all my ability to try to survive as someone on the bottom gone. I tried to go back to work. I was just 34 years old when he did this to me. I share my dreams again. I could grow my garden, be in the trees, on the mountain, a lovely stream and sea. I planned on working for all of this step by step, and I had a plan. If I hadn't been crippled, this is what I would have done. I tried to work and couldn't and applied for disability. If when I had asked, I had received it, I imagined my life would be far better right now as a disabled woman. Now I have to pay a lawyer, and if we win, in order for me to receive a small amount of money that I could never survive practically off of. How can you reform our disability and Social Security? We need it desperately. I'm just another statistic. Grew up with abuse, had dreams, could have achieved them, ended up with an abusive man, crippled, unable to keep up with her place in society, now deleted, oh well, too bad. How many more women are going to be erased like me before we change? Cannabis is miracle medicine. It has already been studied and proven effective as medicine for centuries. We as people are all of different property, body constitution, and bloodline. We as people require varied medicines, and a one-fits-all approach can never happen. Ayurveda, Ayur life, Veda knowledge. We must marry Eastern and Western principles, not to be confused with marrying Eastern and Western people, though if there's love, yay, awesome, rock on. This means allopathic and natural medicine. It means East and West philosophy, societal principles, and medicine, mostly. Bringing them together to benefit humanity as a whole. Many of us benefit from cannabis as medicine. Taking away or limiting our ability to grow it ourselves is however we can afford to, should never be an agenda. We the people deserve to be able to grow our medicines and use them, including travel, how we need to. We the United States of America should be proving its effectiveness, miracle medicine status to the world. Continuing to criminalize marijuana in this country is just an agreement to allow police and government officials to continue to abuse their power and get away with the horrific things and wrongful targeting. Corrupt government officials, not all government officials. We need police, we need government officials. We need them not to be corrupt. If they want to be in the plant medicine trade, then they can pick a side if they're not going to mediate and work towards legalization because they're too dangerous. At this point, this is true of all drugs, as you are aware. The defense fund's lack of requirements to report are contributing to unlawful yet participated in knowingly drug trafficking by the government and officials, causing further strife and tense relations with other peoples, countries, and also allowing these government officials the ability to wrongfully target, manipulate, use, or control others. I urge you to legalize federally and be a part of the voice for change, righting wrongs of the past, avoiding harm for innocent people. Medical reform, this is important, and it also fits into plant medicine. East meets West. We must remember to come together. All leaders, rulers of the world have something in common, the people. We, all the people of the earth, deserve to have the best health, healing, home, and circumstances. This attitude of we as a nation are somehow against each other, or worse, competing, is an old mind view. Welcome to the future. Working together. One world nation. Each country should be coming together and communicating. How are people's health, mental and physical? How are their lives, jobs, home and family? What is their quality of living? What are our people's views, dreams, goals, and advice? This is no longer a world about who is better, who is on top, or who is dominating. This is now a world of the future. Who is helping? How can we truly pool our resources to create a better future for the children of our planet in all nations of the world, in which to God is only one nation? Distribute food, water, shelter, clothing, teach gardening, self-sustainable, eco-friendly homes, earthships, etc. Plant more trees. Each home can be surrounded by trees and flowers and gardens with food. Teach and bring together our cultures, religions, beliefs, and dress. Educate to unify, not divide. We are one but not the same. Song reference. Honor and respect one another. Our differences make us human, they make us beautiful. A people divided by language and continent, so you could come together and remember you were one, though different. You all bleed red unless you're deep in water, then green. But no matter how you look, speak, bleed, dress, worship, or glow, it's remembering our humanity and our compassion. 8 billion souls of human, each with a heart, with consciousness, with dreams, with goals, and each deserving to have basic needs met humanely and how you would like yours to be met. A safe home, food, water, dignity, and respect, because each of us are human, just like you. How many billions of species other than us are here? Can we remember we are the keepers of the earth? The keepers of the earth, the highest of honors, and yet we forgot. The point and purpose was for us to look out for and protect all earth species, plants, animals, obviously included. Ways to help the earth regenerate the ocean's floor. Compost in the ocean is a great way for this to occur. Easy ways to achieve this practically would be vegetable scraps from cruise ships in the middle of the ocean, fishing vessels, taking compost if possible, and oil rigs as well. Plant more trees, eco-friendly homes. Money, what is money now? Paper or a computer? Numbers on a screen and plastic cards. What better time to think about a better format? Make enough money to create a better world. If you can't, as leaders, decide how to fix things, just make it. We could all be billionaires with a few adjustments in a computer. A world of billionaires. Would that fix the world? I guess it would depend on the individual. Please tell the truth so we can end Islamophobia and hatred, wrongful targeting, and misunderstandings of Muslims and Islam. In my opinion, the only way to truly end Islamophobia in America is by telling the truth. When government officials made drug trafficking or exporting of any resource part of their defense fund, and then can wrongfully target any person they choose due to their government status, this is not only dangerous to innocent people, but completely violates every person. The truth about the wars in the Middle East must be revealed. Everybody wants to live together. Song reference. Why are certain people targeted because of their names? I just repeat talking about how I spoke to my ex on the phone. And then I talked about 9/11. I was completely unaware of the details of 9/11. I was 15 when it occurred, but something I never did as a human was target people who shared the same name, continent, or religion as the people allegedly involved in 9/11. This country continuing to do so. Why is this country continuing to do so? I bring up the helicopters again, and then I speak on the fact that I don't want any people that care about each other to be separated. Him and I are not together, so it's not about him and I, but it's about the fact that if two young people fell in love today on any continent, and then she wanted to bring him or he wanted to bring her home, it would have been unsafe depending on the environment, the community, the society, the state, the country. And one thing that I don't like is when people get in the way of real love. The knowledge that the United States is responsible for keeping lovers apart is the opposite of the very point to our free country. How very many of our ancestors ran here, also they could be free to live and love who they choose. I'm also indigenous and mixed race, so yes, I am Native American as well, Choctaw. Islamophobia, illegally targeting Muslims, all of this must end. Please allow education and truth to be what allows peace to unfold. Please speak true to all the world about why the wars in the Middle East took place, so that the ignorant portion of the public can be brought to light and truth. May once and for all we put a stop to this cruel and calculated hatred. What I know of Islam and Muslims is beautiful. There are good and bad people in all religions, ethnicities, regions, religions, and corners of the galaxy. Let's stop wrongfully prosecuting people's religions and bring people together. We are one, so let's act like it. And then I just repeat all of the same things that I wrote in the first letter, the first page. So that is what I wrote to the president at the beginning of the year in 2023. Since then, I had to leave the country because I didn't have anywhere to live, and I was homeless on the streets with a spinal cord injury, in a lot of danger because a person was trying to human traffic me, and a lot of people wanted to harm me because of all of the things that I knew and was speaking up about. Including my ex, who got away with everything, and a couple of other people who spread a lot of lies and rumors about me to get away with who they are as people. But there's a special karma for them in store. I'm sure when God gets around to it, they will understand what it's for. And I ended up leaving on foot and going to a different country where I am now in Peru, and then just was denied disability my third time with a lawyer. And I can't even comprehend how this has all occurred because it's so beyond unjust. And I have been more than a warrior woman. I have been more than fair and forgiving. I have been more than resilient. I've been more than strong and kind. And I have been speaking up for the rights of everyone along the way because these are things I've been passionate about my whole life. But as a young person, I was raised in a different way than the young people of today. I was raised to observe more than to interact. And so I had a lifetime, also being autistic, of sitting back and observing and watching and meeting people and hearing people's stories when they spoke up about what their life was like, what their experiences were like in America or other countries, what their lives were like. I liked hearing about what other people wanted to share with me. And this time period, I became really adamant about speaking up about it. And this was the work of this time period. This past year was supposed to be about that, but instead, everything got web trap set again, which means dishonorable people decided to go with what was usual, which is why you can see that the world is like cracking up now, because this is not what's supposed to happen. This was not what humanity was supposed to do. And, you know, we all know that right now there's nuclear war, World War III looming, which is something I've been also trying to actively prevent. But I also want to make sure that I acknowledge that it's always unclear exactly how many people are involved in these sorts of things, because it's not just one government that can be targeting you, and it's not just one group of people. Like, a lot of people have motives in these things, you know, and when I was testifying against my ex for him breaking my spine, people got paranoid and ended up causing worse chaos in doing so. And a lot of things happened that compounded to make this situation really unjust, really horrible, but it doesn't change the fact that I was dying, that I have a spinal cord injury, that my medical records have been covered up and altered, and that all of this led to me not receiving the assistance and help that I needed, but I still chose to try to communicate effectively what was going to be beneficial for all of humanity, because that's what we're supposed to be doing right now. So I'm grateful for all of the places and in the world that have stood up for all of the things that I've spoken of, but also many of the things that I haven't, just based on human rights alone and what that means, because we don't have to do so in a negative or violent manner. it's actually better for us to use our peaceful protesting in order to do that. Writing to people that can make change effectively. I've received some letters back from the senators of my country, my state, when I've signed petitions. Initially, it triggered some of them because they thought I was an Afghan refugee initially, and it triggered some people around me. And I'm not discounting them having PTSD or anything that they experienced, but I also don't think anybody realizes how much I've been through that I didn't talk about ever, because I couldn't. And I still managed to go about my life. I don't know why people decided to be so horrible to me in this time period. And I don't really care, because I know that I had integrity the entire time.